What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. Today is the predictions for England versus South Africa first test match, the match that we're all talking about. Why are we talking about it? Because England lost to the Barbarians and South Africa lost to Wales. Two very interesting games, two games that we might have thought would have gone the way of England and South Africa, but clearly didn't. England had a very good game though. They scored tries, they looked dominant, they showed their moments, but at the end of the day, the Barbarians were just too good for them. South Africa, on the other hand, looked very poor in majority of the aspects of the game. Yes, there was some hope, and yes, there were some moments of greatness, especially by Andre Esterhuizen, who was the outstanding player of the day, as well as Stephen Kitchoff and Mpimpi, on my opinion as well. I thought those players did extremely well. But unfortunately, costly errors, kicking. Robert de Preer had a shock of a game. Elton Jantjies had another shock of a game. So it just wasn't a game we want to look back on. We pretty much want to forget about what happened last week and focus on this weekend's game, because honestly, and I'm going to say this very confidently, I believe we're going to see a totally different game going into this weekend. A totally different mindset from both teams. Both teams are going to be on point. Both teams are going to be on form. Both teams are going to want to sure as hell prove a point. There's so much talk in the media, Eddie Jones firing a few shots here and there, but it's Eddie Jones. I wouldn't expect nothing less from that man. He's a talented coach, a talented coach, legend of the game, but also legend with the big mouth. So I'm excited to see what he has in store for us. Interesting is that England have been training in Durban when they're playing in Jozi this weekend. So that's been interesting. So a few mind games and hiccups from Eddie Jones' side, which is exciting because you just don't know what that man's got planned for us coming this weekend. But all in all, this is going to be a cracking match. A match of excitement, a match of, I don't know, both two teams really going out there to show that they're on the rise and on the mend. History shows in the past England didn't do well in the Six Nations. They're going to want to forget about that. South Africa haven't had the greatest run of late, so they're going to want to prove a point. So it's going to be a game where both teams are going to want to set the standard, set a mark, make the winning team shine. They're going to want to prove a point, and it's going to be a tough fought game. England's never won a test series in South Africa, so they're going to want to break that spell. South Africa are going to want to continue that streak. This series is pretty much a very tough one to predict, just because of the caliber of both teams. Obviously, England have left a few stars back at home, but alas, they've still got a fantastic team. Players that have played in the Aviva Premiership, players that have been our championship team, and players that have been in the finals and quarterfinals. So we're really looking at a top-notch team. And if I have to look at England, the standout player for me by far is Owen Farrell. That man is a machine, and alone can totally destroy a team. He reminds me so much of Johnny Sexton, just because of the way he can play the game. He can do everything. So South Africa need to really watch him going into this game. There are many other players in the English squad that we're going to have to watch out for. So it's going to be a game where South Africa needs to be alert, they need to be smart, they need to be tactically clever, and they need to be on the rise. They need to play the game and not kick away the ball to lose our possession, because that's what loses us a game. Splitting proof of that was last weekend when we lost to Wales. We kicked the ball away. We just made countless errors. However, we are going to have a stronger team. Not saying last week's team wasn't strong. They just weren't ready, I would say, if putting that politely. But a few things what I'm predicting in the squad. There's been talk that we're going to have for the first time ever an all-black front row, which is a great thing. So it's going to be Beast, Bongi, and probably Trevor Enyakanye. Fantastic player. But for me personally, I would have Trevor on the bench and put Stephen Kitchoff on as number 3. Reason, because he had an outstanding game and definitely had an impact last week when he came on to play for the Springboks. For me, he deserves his position. Bongi in for Ralapele is an outstanding decision. I rate him highly. I know he hasn't had a lot of game time, but he's a talented player. He played for the Kings, he played for Western Province. And I think he's a talented bloke who's going to just grow and develop. And under the coaching experience of Rassie, I think he will train this boy Key into something special. So for me, I would have had Bongi in already last week. So hopefully he's going to make a great impact within the team. Other players that I want, there's talk of Delander coming back. I wouldn't have him in. I would have Andre Esterhuizen in, just because of how well that man played last week, how well he stood out and was a true pro and professional within the game. Willie LaRue, definitely, hopefully he will come back. Mpimpy, I hope he gets a shot on the bench. If not, makes the starting lineup. Andre Pollard needs to be number 10. We need to have an experienced player who's a solid leader and works well. I know a lot of people have been saying they should maybe test Alton Jantjies with Faf de Klerk because of the experience. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe Alton Jantjies is feeling lost without Faf because they know how each other works. But if you want to play international rugby, you need to learn how to work with different scrum halves, because sometimes that scrum half that you play with provincially just might not be good enough to play international level. So they need to learn to adapt. US did it. All the other guys did it. Farid Dupree did it with many. Yes, he had Mornay Steyn, but he also had a lot of others fly off. So you just got to learn to adapt. But Faf de Klerk in, definitely, please. He is a way better player than last week's scrum half. I know a lot of you went for me for not knowing his name, but if you don't stand out, I'm not going to remember you. Sorry, my friends. But yeah, for me, I want to see the star players from last week given a shot. I want to see M in the team for the Springboks. I think he's a great player who deserves a shot, who deserves an opportunity to play Springbok rugby. And there are many more others. But what I really want to see from the Springbok team is just pure smartness, cleverness, pride, passion. I want to see that. If they can provide that, South Africa will beat England this weekend. If they can show that they are capable to play under pressure, handle the pressure that England bring, they will win. They can do it. We've got a fantastic team. We've got systems in place going forward. Guys, remember, everyone's saying, oh no, rate Rassie. Can't write off, sorry, not rate, write off. Can't write off Rassie Erasmus of a game that was in, one, a different country that we're not used to playing, two, shocking weather, that's not an excuse, I'm not saying it, but three, a very young team that was just being tested out to see how they were going to play. And that's something that I also needed to remember, because I was clearly upset in previous video, but I'm upset because I know what the potential this team can give. I know what South African rugby is capable of, and I know that all those players selected can do wonders. Besides the scrum half, because I clearly don't know him well, but I know those guys have the potential, even him, to do wonders. And that's why I was upset, because it was silly errors, kicking. There's nothing more that I hate more than these box kicks or over the head kicks, what scrum halves and make. If they know what they're doing, like a Connor Murray, an Aaron Smith, a Will Genia, Faf de Klerk, if they know what they're doing, by all means do it, but make sure your players are following up properly enough, and make sure your players that are following up are capable of catching the ball. Because if not, you just give it to the opposition and they either run away with it or they get the position and hold the ball and waste time, and we lose a game. Kicking under pressure, make sure you know your fly-off's ready, and fly-off needs to know that he's ready, so we don't see what Robert Dupree did when he kicked the ball. So much to look at in this game, but so much potential. Again, England, you cannot count out. I've said it last week, said it a week before. Eddie Jones is a legend of the game, and I know some of you have written him off already, but England will bounce back. And why they will bounce back is because they've got a great, talented team. A team of individuals that have the potential to win a World Cup. They peaked maybe a bit too soon, but they will bounce back. Because if those players could do it previously, what's stopping them from doing it again? It's just getting back with the picture, knowing that you're not the greatest. So move forward and develop and get better and regroup and regrow that team. It takes time, but it's possible. And with teams like South Africa and England, it's definitely possible. So that brings me to my prediction. Who is going to win this weekend and who's going to win the first test match? Now a lot of you are going to say, Gareth, you're smoking something funny. But I believe in my mind, my head and my heart that the Springboks are capable of winning this weekend. New team, different team, and different opportunities coming up this weekend. And I really believe that they're going to win. So, I'm going Springboks by 3 to 5 points. It's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, and it's going to be really, 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 really stressful as a fan. But it's going to be exciting, and I think both teams are going to come out all hell's blazing, fighting and running. I want to see running rugby, guys. Give me running rugby, but give me passion and give me heart. Make me believe that we want to be there with you. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. Let me know in the comment section down below who's going to win, England or South Africa. Who's are you looking out for from an English perspective and from a South African perspective? Players to watch out for. Thanks so much for watching, guys. As I said, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because there's going to be recaps, there's going to be more predictions. Subscribe so you're up to date with all future uploads. And I'll see you guys real soon for another video. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe and never give up, and enjoy the rugby. Cheers.